me save my work here. So new project. VS Console programming. Cool. All right, let's get this one started, and I'll show you how to get it in here. Are you familiar with the console and how it's managed? I don't usually write stuff in here. Console read key, and that outputs interceptor. All right, cool. So I'm assuming I could do that. Okay. Yeah. Because now we have our weights, and we can check against them. So what's one of our weights? 100 is the smallest we have. I'm thinking, are the weights a number, or do you enter them in from the keyboard? Because if you enter them in from, if they are a number, then that would save quite a bit of hassle on this side. So we have 100 is one of the weights. The next bound would be 150. And depending on the numbers, how you arrange your numbers. So if I pick 150 here, then I won't be able to check for less than or equal to, because your bound here would be, yeah, I get that. Your bound would be 149. So you can enter in 150, and then you would have to check less than. So we check greater than or equal to and less than, and then we can use proper bounds. So 150, and then let's say the next one up would be 200. Right? That looks about right. So we have 3 weights, and we have 3 letters. A, B, and C. Okay, so now the program comes here and it asks the user to enter in a number. It takes that number. So these are the numbers that we'll be working with. So user input would be our read line from the console. Now it gives us our input, and we can convert our input into the number. So read line can't implicitly convert read line key info to string. So we get the key. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this. Oh, I know what I can probably do. So read line. That'll give us a string. Okay. Cool. So now we have our string. We pass it in, and we start doing our checks. Okay, so it comes through the first time, and it says, yeah, if -1, that'll give us 0. So we need to check 2 different values. So we'll go -1, and we'll check low bounds. So the low bounds equals the first weight, right? 0i. And the high bounds So high bounds, we'll set that as high bounds. Let's spell these out so they make more sense. So low bounds and high bounds equals I plus 1. Now we set a high bounds, and in order to make that work, of course, we have to reduce one more check from here. So we go through the high bounds, we go through the low bounds, and we have our low and high bounds. And we have the user weight that we're checking against. So first time it comes through, it's going to say, hey, what's the user weight? So we know what the user typed in. Is that greater than low bounds, first low bounds, or equal to it? If it is, then we need a second condition. Is it less than the high bounds, which is I plus 1 at this point, which is 150? So if they typed in 149, then bingo. Right? We break. If they didn't type in 149, they typed in 198, it's going to say no, this check failed. It's going to go to hi. Sorry about that. Yeah, a quick lesson here, and then I'm going to go back to the tic-tac-toe. And hopefully you guys hang out. I do need some people to add to the queue to test the game. Okay, so now we're at index 1. Now we're at index 1. Our low bounds will be 150, and our high bounds would be 200. Right? So we'll check. And that would be our last check. So if we didn't find anything, we know we're greater than 400. Right? And we can check at the end of the loop what that is. So we have a bool, match found equals false. All right? And as we do our checks, if we do find a match, our match found is true. Right? And we can check outside of the loop if the match is found. So if the match was found, then we know the user entered in something correctly, and we're good. If it's not found, however, that's where we do our high and low bounds check here for greater than 400 or less than 100. So if the user input, actually we're using user weight so we can compare numbers. If the user weight is less than 100, then we write the F, right? Is that an F? So if the user, else, it has to be greater than, right? So then we write the A. Okay? So that's for one check. And this will be wrapped up in a loop. You don't need to wrap this in the loop because you only need to declare this once. Because the console read key that stops the console from quitting. So if we didn't find a match, then we continue looping. So I don't know what kind of loop you run on the console, but this is your logic that goes inside of your loop. And obviously you add the other numbers you need to balance it all out. Cool, so hopefully that helps how to traverse arrays and compare the values to get answers. So if we contain this in a loop, then we can check and check and check again until, and I mean, when you find a match, you want to break out of that loop. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. If you have like one or two more questions, maybe I can answer them really quick before I move on. you, you can do that. I I don't know how to close the console. I guess you just break out of the loop. So if you can start right here. If the user input, I'm gonna have to wrap this in a loop. Hang on. So let's surround this with while loop. Okay, so while first we get one user input, right? And we can just exit the app right away while user input is greater than 0. So let's do that. So there you go. Right? So that once it's greater than 0, it's going to continue. If it moves less than 0, it's out of the game. I guess you can just not put this read key. So if they enter in any number that's beyond your bounds, you can set it there and then have it exit the loop. Well, he said negative number, so I make it any. Yes, yes. While it's greater than or equal to 0. Excellent, excellent. Hey, low dinosaur. Sweet. Yes, he's correct. So you want to continue while it's greater than or equal to 0, and what he recommended is anything other than is your negative. So hopefully that's cool, man. And if it is, hang out and we can play some tic-tac-toe. So I do have to get back to work. So let's get back to my programming. C# tic-tac-toe API. Yes, close the solution. Sweet. Let's get this stuff out. Oh, you wanted me to run the application, huh? Oh, you want some live debugging. I could do that. That makes sense. No. Know how it goes. Programming is a bunch of mess. You never really know what the until you actually run the app. Okay, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm not an app guy. Let's go. Yeah, man. Cool. That's sweet. So 155. So what's supposed to happen here? Let's debug this thing. So you told me you're familiar with console applications, so you catch me when I'm doing something wrong. So wait a minute. I already see one problem. We have this check here, and it should be here. All right? Yeah, so if you get an A, you exit. And if you get or you break, I'm sorry. Yeah, that need to be at the bottom. It's checking twice is why it hung up right away. No, that shows what's going on. So our first input came in, it's 155. It's gonna parse it greater than 0. Let's continue to the break. So a match is not found, and our weight is 155. Okay, so we're going through the first loop. We have only 3 numbers in our array, so it should be short, 2 loops. Okay, lower bounds 100, upper bounds 150. The weight I entered in 155. Is it between there? Well, it's greater than 100, but it's not less than that, so negative. It's gonna go again. Let's run that to the point. So this should be a successful finish. So that's gonna write to the console the letter. Then it's gonna break, but it's set match found to true. And that's it. So that's the B.